Hey, Sunday, and it's time for another episode of Record Collecting with a Quill. Today we're doing groundbreaking rock albums. Um, there's tons of groundbreaking albums in a lot of different genres, and I will probably do a couple of different episodes because I found a lot of cool groundbreaking albums when I researched this one. But we're starting out. We have to start out somewhere, and we're starting out with rock albums, and it's my take. So and as usual, feel free to comment in the comment section. What are your groundbreaking albums? And before we start, you know the drill. Yeah, right? Yeah, subscribe. And if you're already subscribing, and you think you have friends who like this kind of stuff, please feel free to share. Well, let's start with a groundbreaking album. There's tons of early stuff from the late 60s, early 70s, but one album is a little bit forgotten actually, but I know it had a huge impact on those musicians who were active and became really famous. And it's this one, Vanilla Fudge, their first album. I believe it's from '67. A couple of famous guys in this band. You have Carmen Appice here, a young Carmen Appice. You have Tim Bogert on bass. I mentioned him before. And what they did was they did cover versions of famous songs like Ticket to Ride, Eleanor Rigby by Beatles. They played People Get Ready and so forth. But they did them really slow and heavy, and was kind of unique at that time. And I know I read some interview, I think with Richard Blackmore, said that everyone is saying Jimi Hendrix was the one who was like the catalyst for Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, and said that's not really true. Vanilla Fudge was the band everyone was listening to in London around that time, because they did something really different, and also the organ had a really huge impact as well, and was important to their sound. So cool album, the first one with Vanilla Fudge. Check it out. Next one, if you're talking groundbreaking albums, you have to mention this one. I will not talk that much about it because I mentioned it before. But the first Black Sabbath, you can't really deny that one, or you can't do a episode about groundbreaking rock albums without mentioning this one. So now I mentioned it. Next one is one. It's a band I when I was younger in the early 80s, they were really popular and they had some huge hits. And I heard a couple of their later albums before I heard this one. But then I went back and I bought the first one, and that one it had a huge impact when it came out. I was too young to be a part of that then, but it's still a fantastic album. This one, the first Van Halen album, it changed. I mean, guitar playing. Everyone wanted to play like Eddie Van Halen after hearing this one, but the songs on this one, the playing, the energy, and it's basically the band live in the studio. And as good as they were never better than on this first album. And still to this day, it's one of those I really enjoy. Just look at David Lee Roth there. Talk about a frontman, cool guy. Also groundbreaking when it came out, changed a lot of things, guitar playing, but also the whole California rock scene came out of this album as well. Next one was an album I remember distinctly when it came out. I think I was like 14 or 15, and I saw it on a video on MTV. I think it was Headbangers Ball or something. And around that time, you had a lot of the music scene, or the hard rock scene, was quite commercial, and then came a band that did something really different, and rock became dangerous again. And it's of course this one, Guns N' Roses. Appetite for Destruction, and this is the censored cover. They had to change it later on. And this one, as I said, rock became dangerous again, and it became, I guess, went back to the roots a little bit. And you have some fantastic, I mean, all-time classic on this one. I mean, Welcome to the Jungle, you have Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, It's So Easy. And I remember that this changed a lot. People were listening to Motley Crue and all that stuff, but suddenly Guns N' Roses became the thing everyone was into, and me as well. But it's still a great album. It still holds up, and they haven't released anything like it ever since. I mean, they haven't released so much at all, but a great one, of course. Another really important one, as I said, in the late 80s, all the rock bands, the guys in rock bands looked like girls in rock bands. And then in the early 90s came a band who changed everything. And after this album came out, a lot of the old big bands had a really hard time and was struggling with their careers, because Nevermind with Nirvana changed the whole music scene. The whole grunge scene exploded with Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and a lot of other cool bands. And also this is an album that holds up fantastic today because it has great songs. It's at the end of the day, it's all about great songs. And what it did also, I think is really cool, is that it opened the door so the record labels at the time started a little bit taking more chances. And I found, while looking through, there's a lot of cool stuff that was released in the early 90s that were kind of different, and I don't think it would have been released if it hadn't been for the success of this album. The labels started taking a little bit more chances, and I found some stuff, mostly CDs, because we're talking the early 90s now. I think this one is a product of that, and this is also a really groundbreaking album, the first Rage Against the Machine album, mixing heavy rock with rap elements. You have bands that did that before. You had Run DMC and Aerosmith with Walk This Way. You have the first Beastie Boys album, but this was also political in a sense that music hadn't been political in that way in the late 80s, but this was a great album. Also this one I think also wouldn't have been such a huge album. This is Ministry. This one is referred to as Psalm 69. It's also an album I really enjoy. When it came out, I listened to it a lot. And this is more, I guess, industrial. And you can hear, if you listen to this, I don't think Rammstein would have sounded anything like they do if it hadn't been for Ministry. Some great tracks here. You Just Won't Fix. You have Jesus Built My Hot Rod. You have Scarecrow, I really enjoy. But really heavy industrial, heavy rock also came out, and I think as a result of the success of Nevermind. This one as well, I don't think that Kais would have received, would have been signed by a major label as well. Welcome to Sky Valley. This is like the godfather of all stoner rock albums. The one that I guess started it all is actually their third album. This is the one that made a huge impact. Also enjoy this a lot. And also this one, talking about early 90s albums, 9 Inch Nails, the Downward Spiral, also industrial, not in the same heavy sense as Ministry. This is more electronic as well, but a truly great album. And all these came as sort of, I think Nirvana's Nevermind helped all these albums. So there's tons of other stuff as usual, and as usual, I've probably forgotten a lot of stuff. There's tons of other important albums. So let me know in the comment section What albums do you think are truly groundbreaking? And also, as usual, I will put tracks from all the albums I mentioned here in the Spotify playlist. The link is down below, so you can check that out as well if there's something cool you haven't heard before. Anyway, I see we're around the 10-minute mark now. Thanks for watching, and also follow us on social media. It's the QUILL Sweden. We're posting stuff every day. And there's a lot of cool news coming soon. As I mentioned before, the video is coming along nicely. It will soon be released as well. Some really cool stuff. Well, that's it for now. Cheers and thanks for watching, and see you all again next week. Bye.